I went on a date last night with my wife, and I'll keep it real. Most date nights, I end up talking about app ideas. Hustling's always on my mind. And I specifically am interested in her thoughts because she's the manager of a hair salon. Anybody that works a real job like that is interesting to me just because I know in IT, I am in a support role. In order to support anybody, I need to understand what problems they actually run into, how important those problems are to them, and the requirements for solving them. So I'm always asking her and anybody else in my life what software they need. The wife has given some good ideas, but all modifications of existing software they use. Like a lot of you, I am more on the lookout for, I guess, get rich quick ideas. Ideas where a problem can be solved simply for a broad range of industries, not the grind of customizing existing industry-specific software. So because the wife has never been able to mention an app that she would want, I've kind of given up on asking her. Yet last night I was just checking with her how work's been going, and she started venting about something that she's vented about a number of times, and that is making the schedule. So as the manager, the other 6 people that work there will come up to her and let her know, this is in the past, they've come up and told her, I would like, such and such a time off. Not talking about scheduling vacation, which anyone can do. Just simply week over week, I would prefer to have Tuesdays off, let's say. She tried to accommodate them, but a lot of the frustration that the employees had, and then now her as a manager, were just inevitable when you're trying to accommodate everybody. She would give one employee the Tuesday off. The other employee would say, well, Saturday off was important to me. Why can't you do that? Are you picking favorites? She got so sick of it at some point that in order to keep it fair, she basically gave everybody the same schedule. Everybody works 2 Saturdays a month, 2 Sundays a month. That solved the equity problem, but that is not optimal because every employee does not have the same preferences. And you can think theoretically there would be a schedule that made the most people the most happy. How exactly you would do that, I don't know. I could just imagine something where this app would have Monday through Sunday and all the hours where the shop is open, 8 to 7. Employees, you could imagine, could come into this and let their preferences be made known. One way, just off the top of my head, would be that every hour that the employee could work would have, let's say, a coin. I'm just put sticky notes on the drawing, but there is 1 point for every possible hour. If an employee does not care when they work, they could just leave that as default and they would be scheduled to work whenever they were needed most. If the employee does have strong preferences, what hours or days that they have off of work, they could spend the points that they have to not purchase, but at least communicate what they feel strongly about. So one employee likes to party on the weekend. So she always wants Friday evenings and Saturday, at least Saturday morning off. An older stylist wants to get off work as soon as possible. So she doesn't mind opening at 8, but she wants to get out of there if she can before 7 p.m. Everyone's preferences are different. The only thing my wife cares about is Sunday mornings off. She doesn't care what other time of the week she works, but she wants Sunday mornings off to go to church, along with 2 other employees. You can think even theoretically, if 3 people care most about having Sunday morning off, they should never have to work Sunday morning. If one employee always wants Friday nights off, and that's most important to her, she should always have Friday nights off. Now, if you want Friday night off, you're probably going to have to work Sunday. If you want Sunday off, you're probably going to have to work Saturday. Every employee has a certain amount of points, if you will, where they can communicate their preferences. So the employee comes in, they want to bid, I guess, on Sunday morning. They take all the points that they have and put all those points toward what matters to them. And this would be the same if somebody prefers not to work any weekend. They could take all of their points away from the weekdays and put them into communicating that they want as much time off on the weekend as possible. If you take in everybody's preferences like this, you could basically stack them and determine, given this afternoon, here are the 2 or 3, whatever you need, employees that don't feel as strongly about having this time off compared to their peers. So other people really want this time off. You have 2 or 3 employees that have a lower priority for Tuesday afternoon, whatever the case may be. Now, for this to be viable, this whole app idea, the barrier to entry to usage would have to be extremely low. Talking and working out a schedule in person and on paper is not that hard, to where if the app is hard to use, nobody's going to use it. They're going to talk in person and work out the schedule in paper or in Excel. So you would have to be super, super easy. Just before turning on the camera here, I researched whether any software like this exists. The half dozen apps that mentioned employee preference, I did sign up for, I tried to use. None of them, at least as far as I got, allowed employees to communicate when they want off in order of preference. So while that may exist out there, please do let me know if you've heard of software like this. At the very least, all existing apps are too complicated to where you're not just doing this problem. You're not just solving this problem. I think this app would need to be laser focused on gathering employee preferences and spitting out that output of the ideal schedule for everybody. You wouldn't even need sign on for this. Sign up, sign on, monetization for the basic functionality. The basic functionality is very easy. It's key value pairs and a little bit of math in adding it all up, spitting out a schedule. You would not have to charge for one tier of this. You could make it super easy to use, a web app where a team member goes on, creates a new schedule, types in the store's hours, and sends maybe a text message invite to team members. Make it a QR code that you put in the break room. But if this whole schedule is just a week and you're generating it, giving it a randomized URL, you would not need security. Send this to the team members, have them just come in, put in their preferences, move these coins or bids around, and hit submit. It could be very easy to use. If teams are using this every single week and they want something more, you could monetize it with a premium tier to where maybe people's credits can be rolled over week to week so that you could basically guarantee 3 weeks out. There's a lot of things you could do with a premium tier, but the barrier to usage would have to be extremely low for this to be viable. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know if this exists, any ways that the preferences could be calculated. I will probably try at some point when I get time to mock this up into an MVP. But anytime I get an idea for an app, I always want to share it with you. Please do build this. Please do make the world a better place.